Well, last night marked the first time Hillary Clinton was asked about allegations that the Clinton Foundation engaged in pay-for-play while she was Secretary of State. Leaked emails show top Clinton Foundation officials asking a senior State Department official to give special attention to, quote, friends of Bill Clinton after the Haiti earthquake in 2010. Hillary Clinton struggled with that issue, and this wasn't the only question she tap-danced around. Laura Meckler joins us now. She's a national politics reporter for the Wall Street Journal. How would you characterize her answers to some pretty direct questions about pay for play and the Clinton Foundation?
Well, I do think that she struggled a little bit on those questions and still hasn't figured out a really good way to answer them. She tried to respond by talking about the good works that the foundation does, which, you know, is not really in dispute, but at the same time is not responsive to what the questions were that were asked. But I think that at the end of the day, the debate probably won't be remembered for these questions, partly because Donald Trump did not sort of stick with it, did not successfully prosecute the case against her on this. And in addition, there were so many other things that I think probably overshadowed it. But that was definitely a weak moment for her.
She was asked, Chris Wallace asked her whether her family's foundation was a pay-for-play arrangement. Now, she could have said no, but she didn't do that.
Exactly. That's the problem, is that she's not just answering it directly and getting to the heart of the matter. And I think that she and all of the Clinton people, for that matter, they sort of have a talking point when it comes to the foundation. They believe that there has not been nearly enough attention to the substance of what the foundation does. She also tried to pivot it to talk about Donald Trump's foundation, which, of course, is a much smaller endeavor and doesn't seem to be particularly involved with charity on any kind of large scale. So she tried to change the subject, but she did not directly address the concerns that a lot of people do have about conflicts of interest that were going on in terms of donors to the foundation who had business or interests at the State Department.
Obviously, it's a debate technique to try to, move the discussion to something else that you'd rather talk about rather than the question that you were asked. But when Wallace went back at her with another question about the foundation, she started to say there's no evidence. Now, I spoke with a prosecutor friend who said anytime a lawyer starts talking about there's no evidence, you have to wonder what evidence there really is.
Well, I think there's been a lot that's come out on the foundation, and it's definitely been an issue. It's been a problem for her throughout this campaign that she's had to deal with. The stories have been out there for more than a year, various things, but I don't think there has ever been any sort of smoking gun situation where there's been a proof where somebody got something that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise because of their connection with the foundation. So absent that, I'm not sure it's going to, at the end of the day, be a major issue for her in terms of winning the election or losing it.
Where do we stand with the foundation, and what happens if she becomes the occupant of the Oval Office?
Right. Well, I think that's a really good question, and I don't think they've been very clear about that. They've said that they would, that Bill Clinton would not be involved. They said they would essentially try to disconnect the family from the foundation, spin off their international work. But they haven't said whether Chelsea Clinton will still stay involved. It seems like Chelsea their daughter, does want to stay involved in the foundation. And, of course, a lot of people see a conflict of interest in that setup. So I think that they've tried to take some steps to say that there would be a disentanglement, but I don't think they've fully answered those questions, and obviously they're going to have to.
She suggested that, she has always been better liked while she is holding office than when she is actually running for office. Is it possible that should she win, she can paper over a lot of these problems that have been dogging her during the course of this campaign?
Well, some yes, some no, I think. I mean, I do think that this issue of how the foundation is run is going to have to be settled. And I personally think that unless there's a total severing of the relationship, it's going to continue to dog her. Because anytime there's a state dinner, there will be reporters and others looking up to see, is anybody on the list who's a foundation donor? It just will be a continual issue day in, or maybe not day in, but certainly week in, month out, that I do think that they're going to have to address that up front. Other issues, I think, will probably fade. For instance, issues around her email setup when she was Secretary of State. At some point, I think that issue kind of starts to go away. And of course, it also depends on how her presidency goes if she's elected. Whether she's doing things that are truly bringing the country together, as she says she wants to, or whether it's very divisive.
Laura Meckler. Laura, thank you.
Thanks.